Hello, I'm Jennifer Powell, and this is Take a Look. Thank you for joining us. This is a time when we take a look at the people, organizations, events, and culture that is Lancaster County. And today we have with us Brian Nguyen. Brian is a photographer, a storyteller, and a communications guru. Welcome, Brian. Come talk to us. We're so excited to have you here.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, so Brian recently won an award. It was the Respect and Collaboration Award from Brightside Opportunity Center. Tell us about this award. Congratulations, by the way.
Oh, thank you. At first I tried to return the award because I didn't want the award. Not that it was bad or anything, but because of the work that I do in the community, it's more for just the community, and that's what it's all about for me. So the Respect and Collaboration Award is given to someone who really puts themselves out into the community and goes above and beyond, really building bridges to everyone in every organization, business, and everyone in between.
Yes.
So for me, I just love telling stories, and I love building bridges as much as I can. So there's so much power when you're in a space where people feel seen, feel heard, and feel valued. So with me, my involvement in various organizations and businesses here in Lancaster, I try to be that person, being a person of color, being a queer person of color, to really show up in these spaces and really help individuals get connected to other businesses and organizations, really taking their photos and telling their story and letting locals know what's going on, because sometimes local Lancastrians aren't really aware of like the amazing things that happen every day.
Yeah, that's so wonderful. And the funny thing is, you are not necessarily a native Lancastrian, and you've kind of become almost Mr. Lancaster. Where are you from, and what brought you to Lancaster?
Oh, that's too funny. So I moved here from Baltimore, but I'm originally from Allentown.
Okay.
So I am a firm believer of when moving to a place, just come in like Miley Cyrus on a wrecking ball.
Woo!
Just really go for it. So I moved here because Lancaster was really an up-and-coming city, and so a funny story I like to tell is, just as I was telling my friends that I'm moving to Lancaster, they were just like, is everyone here Amish? Like, all the things. All the things. So I put together like a 17-slide PowerPoint justifying why Lancaster is up and coming and all these things.
Oh, communications guru. Yeah, right. Communications guru.
And with my family being in Allentown, it just made sense. It was the halfway point for me to go home to Allentown should anything happen, or if I need anything, or go into the other hot spots like Philly or Baltimore, which is just like a train ride away.
Indeed. And so, up and coming city, what else drew you to this area? I mean, besides the Amish, what else was in that 17-page point PowerPoint that you had, that you shared? What were some things that really drew you to this area?
Yeah, so with it being an up-and-coming city, what really sold me was the fact that it was a welcoming city. So my family I'm a first-generation Vietnamese American, and so my family immigrated to the States during the Vietnam War. So for me, representation truly matters in so many levels. And upon hearing that Lancaster at that time was working towards becoming a welcoming city, being the largest refugee per capita, it really won my heart, because it just goes to show their commitment to diversity and representation and really opening their doors for everyone.
Yeah, that was such a significant stat to me to hear, that Lancaster has the highest per capita of refugee resettlement in the entire country. And so yes, definitely Lancaster is a welcoming city and welcomed you. I mean, literally, Brian, you have thousands of admirers. Let's talk about your photography. Let's talk about, sometimes you look at a picture and it's just a picture, but truly you do tell a story. So what are some of your favorite sort of pictures or even stories from Lancaster? You are, I mean, truly Mr. Lancaster at every event, but he doesn't just take a picture. There's always this magnificent story with that. So how did this sort of all come about, this storytelling?
Yeah, so I'll for full transparency, so my degree is actually in biology family studies. Oh. So I'm actually a biologist.
Okay.
But I love to tell stories because growing up, especially coming from a Vietnamese immigrant household, we didn't really have many photos, and we didn't really capture the moments or memories. We rely on storytelling. And so growing up, as my siblings and I have gotten older, we're trying to reflect back and try to prove who's right and who's wrong with photos. Of course. We didn't really have much. Yeah. And so it really started off when I was in college, at Albright College, and I was the first male presenting president of the Gender Resource Center. And so that really kicked off my love for marketing and communications and really storytelling to really help educate, advocate, and everything in between for various marginalized communities. And so what really solidified my love for photography was when I was working at the Community Action Partnership.
Okay.
And photography is a part of communications, right? In order to market your business, market your organization, you need something that's visually engaging. Right. And so it was at Crispus Attucks Community Center, the only African American cultural center here in Lancaster, which is now a program of CAP. I was attending an event, and I can't recall the event, but I do remember I had my camera in hand. It was a family of 3. It was a mother, her daughter, and her son. And I just took a simple photo and I posted it on CAP and on CAP social media. And after she saw me, like the next day or whenever I saw her next, she just gave me the biggest hug. And she just said, "Thank you. I've never really had a family photo before."
Wow.
And so it was in that moment that really made me realize like the power of photography and how much just a simple photo that we take sometimes for granted can really make a difference in a family's life.
Oh, that's so true. What a heartwarming story, especially, hearing, didn't have a family photo, and, storytelling was so much a part of pretty much all cultures, a lot of cultures, but especially cultures of color. And, I've noticed a bit of a loss of that storytelling, as elders pass, we lose those stories. And so to have them captured in photography, to see the look on someone's face, the genuine joy and admiration, or whatever that feeling is, it's just such a privilege to have that. I really think, and I don't think we think about that often enough.
Yeah, and I totally agree 100%. And it's in those moments when I am taking these photos, and I treat my social media as a journal.
Okay.
So usually people can see me at least one community event every day.
One community event every day. Let's think about it. Yeah, oh my gosh, wow.
Because what I've come to learn too since moving here to Lancaster is that there are various groups here that aren't aware of what other groups are doing.
Right, yes.
And so being in a position where I do get invited to these things, or I hear about it and I just attend, I do like to just capture moments for people, because sometimes, especially the organizations who are so ingrained into the work, they oftentimes don't take a moment to celebrate what they're doing.
Oh, that's so true.
And so being an outsider, or working with them in some capacity, taking the photos so they don't have to worry about it, and then doing a beautiful write-up, not only selfishly for me to remember what was going on, but it's allowing me to share my perspective, especially being a transplant, and really educating local individuals who have been here for almost all their life, but never heard of such an event or an organization before.
That is so true. You're a connector. I feel like you're a connector. You bring people together. Your energy is just like it's joyful and contagious, truly. And but you're right. There's so much going on in our community that people don't even know about or realize. We were talking about having like a big calendar of sorts or something. But truly, you just really check Brian's social media, because you'll have it there. But these stories that go along with your pictures, what inspires you, or does it just come? Because this we'll be tagging and on social media, and if you have a chance to take a look at Brian's, what inspires this prose?
So for me, words really matter. Everything. Social media is very public as well, and we have the power to control the narrative of what we put out there. So being so engaged into the community, I understand the importance of what we say really makes an impact in someone's life. Whether or not you have met me once and you'll never see me again, I only have that one opportunity to be able to make an impact in your life. So I'm very intentional with my words, because you never know who's reading it.
Right.
And it allows me to tell the story from my perspective and understanding the why behind of why I'm there. I like to go just to have fun, of course.
Yeah.
But also, I always like to understand the reason behind why are we doing this event? What is the impact of this event? Because usually in some spaces, sometimes it's an all-white space, and I tend to be like one of the handful of people of color.
Yeah.
So for me to be in that space, I want to be able to explain the why behind it, and let people know, like, if I can be in this space, so can you.
That is so impactful. Truly is so impactful. And someone wrote a comment, and I'm botching it a little bit, but about you, and it says, true beauty is more than just a mere reflection in the mirror. The qualities that make you beautiful stem from your character, mindset, and how you connect with the world around you, leaving a lasting impact on those you encounter. And what
my gosh.
What you just said
Yeah.
is true. It just captures that what someone wrote about you, and how you share your life with the world, with the community. And it is accepting, and it's inclusive, and it is a call to action almost, that to say you too can be a part of it. And I've been in Lancaster a long time, and I've never quite encountered someone like Brian, and literally thousands of admirers of this person and what you do and how you share your story. So tell us a little bit more. I know you like to create stories. What aside from the woman and her first family photo, tell us another story or a location or a place. I don't want to ask you your favorite restaurant in Lancaster or your favorite, because we know, but if you feel like, throwing in anything that is sort of a must-see or a must-do that you've experienced that maybe people don't know about.
Yeah, so, this is a tough one. So I love exploring Lancaster.
Yes.
And if you do follow along with me on social media, I like to eat out a lot.
Oh, well, yes.
Yes. Well, that's the beautiful thing about Lancaster is there's so many amazing restaurants,
Right.
and especially so many ethnic restaurants
Yes.
and diverse restaurants that I always like to understand, why do they open in the first place? So in addition to enjoying these amazing dishes, I always like to just hear the story of what inspired them and things like that. And so, I don't know, there's just so many incredible things. The latest place I went to was actually the Hudson Tropical Cafe.
Yeah. Where is that?
It's near the Smoketown area.
Oh, I didn't even know.
Yeah.
I didn't even know. I honestly thought that Brian was traveling. I didn't know. And then I looked it up and I'm like, oh, it's near. Yeah.
So there's so many. Lancaster City in itself is like a bubble, a good bubble. Not to say it's a bad thing, but
it's a great bubble.
There's so many things outside of the city that not all people are aware about. Right. And so part of the reason why I brought up Hudson is because they were living in Australia, then they came to Lancaster, and there's this influence between Southeast Asian and Australian and Lancaster. So I just love things like that. It's just very inspiring.
The intersectionality of their restaurant,
yes.
Just even the food, and you talk about intersectionality, and that's a concept that for me is something that's important as a biracial woman presenting, and the intersectionality of who we are. You might just see, and I look like this, but what are the intersectionalities of all of the things that is Jennifer or is Brian or is another person? And you talk about that a lot. And I'd love to hear more about it.
Yeah, so that's actually really important to me. And that's actually the concept of my project, entitled my project during the Baldwin program.
Yes, I was going to get there. Yes. Yeah. We just have to take a moment. Brian is a part of the 2025 class, would it be? 2025 class of the Baldwin Fellows through the Lancaster County Community Foundation. So that's a wonderful, wonderful thing to be. I was in the inaugural class. We didn't do fun stuff back then.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we didn't. We did. I read books.
I feel like there should be a redo now.
I do too. Anyway, so what is your project for the Lancaster County Community Foundation?
So my project is called the Intersectionality.
Oh,
so I'm very male presenting, and I am very ethnically ambiguous.
Yes.
But at the core of who I am Vietnamese. I'm also part Black. I'm also part white, and I'm also non-binary and queer.
Yes.
So, however, when I am in various spaces, I have to figure out what kind of hat am I wearing today.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, if I am in a historically Black event, who am I representing today?
Right.
Or if I'm in an Asian event, who am I representing today?
Right.
Or a white space, and all the above. But when I came out to my family on May 1st, 2013 at 10:46 a.m. outside of my college, I unfortunately was disowned by my family. And so it was in that moment of my disownment that it made me feel like I lost part of my family and my identity, most particularly my Vietnamese identity.
Yes.
My grandmother has always been a foundation of who I am. After coming out, and despite being disowned by predominantly my family, she was the only supporter I had at the time.
Wow.
And of all my siblings, I'm the one that really still retains the culture, the traditions, the language, the food, everything in between.
Yes.
So just the day before moving to Lancaster officially, she passed away in Vietnam. So it was the hardest experience I've had.
Yeah, especially a new chapter in a new town, and having such a significant event with someone that impacted your life so much. I get it, but I love that you're preserving the culture, the language, the traditions, because again, like I said earlier, I don't think we do that enough in our society. We're so fast paced, we're so social media, we're so much instant gratification, but just to take that time to stop, even to take that photo, is sort of pausing you in that moment to enjoy that moment, to express it. But I really don't think we take enough time. So it's just so joyful to hear that.
So because of her and the loss of her, my love language has always been plants and giving back. Oh. She has instilled a lot of who I am today, and her legacy for me is to be able to build those bridges for the next generation, or another group of leaders. Yeah. And so since losing her and being a part of the Baldwin Project, it gave me the opportunity to go back home to Vietnam.
Oh, yeah, wow.
So earlier on in 2024, I was able to travel the entire country of Vietnam, from north to south, by myself. So it was my first international trip by myself.
Oh my goodness, wow.
Yeah, so I remember getting on the plane really nervous because despite being so fluent in Vietnamese, you're going back to like the motherland, per se. Will they understand me? Will they...
You're American.
I'm American. How will I be perceived?
Yes.
And so it was a very eye-opening experience because it helped me answer several questions. The 4 key points of my project was, what does it mean to be Vietnamese? What does it mean to be Vietnamese American? Yes. And what is the intersectionality being queer and Vietnamese? Because I'm both, but I was disowned by my family, so how did they perceive it? And lastly, to really say goodbye to my grandmother and connect with my family who I haven't seen in about 15 years.
Wow. Oh gosh, I almost need a moment. But so it's so deeply personal project that you're doing, but so amazing that you were able to connect with the motherland, with your homeland, and even though you are an American, you're Vietnamese, and you have that as your heritage and part of who you really are. And so traveling alone, how long were you there?
About a month.
About a month. What were some significant sort of sites that you might have saw there that I think you could bring back and relate back to anything here in Lancaster? I don't know.
Ooh, the entire country was so beautiful in its own right.
Yeah.
Because every region of Vietnam, so it's categorized into 3 sections of North Vietnam, Central Vietnam, and South Vietnam, and they're all so different in their own way.
Wow.
From North Vietnam, like even the capital of Hanoi, it was the hustle and bustle of the streets, of the various cuisines, to Central Vietnam where I went to Hoi An, which is the fashion capital of Vietnam, where you can get any custom outfit you want made, and just going, which reminded me very closely to Lancaster because it was such a historic city.
Yes.
Yet around them it was so industrialized, so modernized. So that clash between history and modernization. To my home country, to my hometown in Dam Nai, which is just south of Saigon or Ho Chi Minh City, where it was like all country lands, and the food was exquisite. And being able to stop by where President Obama ate was he legit one of my favorite dishes now, which was called bum cha, which is like a noodle soup, but. So good. I wish it was here, but
maybe there will be a restaurant
Hopefully.
or someone. You will influence someone to bring this dish to Lancaster County.
I hope so.
Oh, Brian, so the last thing I need to, we're getting ready to wrap up, but what does your pin signify? That is so adorable.
So these are little bao buns or dumplings. And so my Vietnamese name is actually Bao. But my English name is Brian.
Right.
So, but whenever I'm home with my family in some capacity, they would always call me Bao. So it's a reminder that my family's still with me in some capacity. And how I show up is I just want everyone to feel like they're family.
Yeah. Oh gosh, truly on that note, Brian, it's been a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for sharing your story as well as the stories of Lancaster and Lancaster County. We are just so appreciative of all that you've brought to our community, your energy, your shine, your amazing personality.
Thank you.
And please continue to journal our community. So please, you're a photographer also. where can someone find out if maybe they might want to hire a photographer or need a photographer? Do you have any sort of website or anything that you'd like to?
Not formally, but
Okay.
a lot of what I do is very public on all my social media platforms. So just reach out to me on Facebook at Brian Nguyen
Okay.
or Instagram at IBAsian.
IB Asian or Brian Nguyen. Okay, we got it. You got to connect with him, just at least to look at the pictures and to read the stories and how he so eloquently captures Lancaster County. Thank you. I'm Jennifer Powell. This is Take a Look, and we'll see you next time.